Peace, peace, and love, family. Thank you for tuning in to the first episode of the For the Culture podcast. This is a podcast for the culture, by the culture. I'm your host, Jay Steele, and we're going to get into these current events. So last Sunday, on so-called Easter Day, Facebook went crazy because there was a 37-year-old man by the name of Steven Stevens that filmed himself on Facebook Live as he walked up to the 74-year-old Robert Goodwin. He asked the older man if he knew his girlfriend, Joy Lane, and then proceeded to murder the man on video. The murder happened in Cleveland, Ohio. Stevens claims that he's killed 14 other people, although no other victims has been confirmed. Stevens was employed as a mental health care manager and was a veteran of the Air Force. Prior to the shooting, Stevens posted that he had gambling debts and that he was upset over his breakup with Joy Lane, who he had dated for several years. All right, so that's what the media gave us, right? And first and foremost, if you've seen the video, truth be told, you didn't see a murder. That's straight up. Straight real talk, no chaser. You did not see a murder. What you saw was a man walk up to somebody, pull a gun out, said, "Do you know Joy Lane?" The man replied, "No, I don't know that." He threw his hands up. Then the camera panned to the left, taking the older man, Mr. Robert Goodwin, out of the camera. So you couldn't see that. Now the camera's pointing at the sidewalk or at the ground. You heard a loud bang, which sounded like a gun. Then the camera panned back to the man as he's laying on the ground with blood kind of splattered in a straight line. That's what you saw. Now, because you watch movies, you assume and your brain assimilates what it thinks it saw based on the things that it has seen prior in the past, right? So that's just what it is. Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm just stating facts. A fact is you didn't see a murder. You heard a gun go off and you saw a man afterwards lying on the ground. Now, let's break down some other facts. If you're shooting somebody point blank range, there's going to be a big splat. More than likely, the camera, or his cell phone rather, would have been splattered with blood as well, right? So we didn't see that happen. When it splats, it's not going to splat in a straight line neither. But if you actually zoom into when Mr. Goodwin was on the ground, the blood was in a straight line, right? Now, this gets a little deeper when you really start to think about things. Stevie Steve drove a Ford Focus. Now, majority of these new cars that they have now automatically come with OnStar. Now, even if the OnStar, like you pay additional money for the OnStar to be cut on for you to be able to use, but that doesn't mean that the GPS device that's in the OnStar cannot be picked up and used. Stevie Steve, from when he allegedly shot Mr. Goodwin until he allegedly killed himself in Pennsylvania, never left that car. So for the 3 days he was on the run, 2.5, 3 days he was on the run, the police, all they had to do was holler at OnStar and say, "Hey, where's this vehicle at?" They never did that. That's a question mark in itself, right? Here's another one for you. For yourself, think about how much cash you keep on you. I'm not talking about I'm about to go make a purchase or I'm about to go buy something, so I'm going to get some money out the ATM. I'm just saying on a day-to-day basis, how much cash do you typically keep on you? Anywhere from $0 to maybe $40 in cash? For Stevie Steve to be able to travel from where he traveled from Cleveland to Pennsylvania, he would have had to purchase gas, food, and lodging. Mind you, I would assume that, let's say he wasn't purchasing lodging. Let's say he was staying on the side of the road or at rest areas, rest stops or whatnot, right? You would have to have cash to make that drive. Or unless you're going to use your debit card or your credit card. But we already know what happens if you're on the run and you're using your debit and credit card. That's one of the first things the police are looking at. They're looking at your records because once you swipe that card at the 7-Eleven or at the Kangaroo gas station, they know exactly when that card was used, exactly what gas station, exactly what time. So they can zoom in through a phone call. Hey, such and such city of such and such, we just got warning that the alleged killer, Facebook killer, is in your town. Boom, you need to go in, proceed with caution. He's in a white Ford Focus. Did that happen? No. Instead, they gave it to us that he got caught in a drive-through at McDonald's. Like, this just doesn't add up. It makes no sense. Now, I'm not a career criminal by no means, but I watch enough crime movies to know that this is some bullshit. Straight up. It don't work like that. You mean to tell me they could find fucking Tom Brady's fucking jersey in Mexico with no GPS, but they couldn't find this motherfucker, and he's in a GPS vehicle with his fucking cell phone and his debit cards? It makes no fucking sense unless he was smart enough to take money out of the ATM the day before, or before he killed Mr. Goodwin. But even at that, when was the last time you took money out of the ATM? How much money does the ATM allow you to get out? I think max for most ATMs is like $400, and that's if you go to your bank's ATM. If you go to like a gas station one, like $200. You know what I'm saying? So that's just some bullshit. I'm not really necessarily buying the story. I don't have an alternative story for you. Everything isn't about having an alternative story. It's just looking at the fucking facts and saying this shit don't make no sense. Unfortunately, in our public school system, they take away the critical thinking skills that we have. We don't think anymore. We just are waiting to be told what the fuck to think, and we don't question shit. And I'm just not that guy. And you're going to get a lot more of this as you tune in each week to the podcast. I'm not saying everything is, like I said, a conspiracy theory, but I'm saying that we can't just take what's being given to us and shove that shit down our throat and believe it. Shit don't make no motherfucking sense. All right, so that's what happened last week with that story. We got another one. I'm going to read this article for you, and we'll kind of break it down and see what the fuck is going on with this. Carmelo Anthony's alleged 24-year-old mistress is pregnant. So we all got the story about Carmelo and Lala breaking up, getting a divorce, which is heartbreaking. I love black love. I love to see the black man taking care of the black woman. I love to see it reciprocated with the black woman taking care of the black man equally. And I love the fact that the Holy Trinity is the black man, the black woman, and the black child. And they have the child together. So here goes this article. The woman at the center of the Carmelo and Lala Anthony split is a co-ed from Chicago. And now she's pregnant with a baby that they believe is his, a well-placed source told the New York Post. Maya Angel Burks, who graduated from Northwestern University with a master's degree in health communications last year, started singing the 10-time All-Star in Chicago last summer, the source said. It's unclear when she got pregnant, but Mello, who is splitting from his wife Lala, believes that the baby is and he is taking care of Burks. She is 24 until a paternity test can be performed, according to the source. Their pair plan to deal with the baby quietly, but one of Burks' former pals claims to have leaked her name to a blog to set the record straight after false reports emerged that Mello had gotten a stripper pregnant. The ex-friend Anthony Jacobs told Chicago radio station WCI-FM this week that Mello and Burks fell for each other at a nightclub in the Windy City. They met at Room 7, a club in Chicago, when he was here for an NBA draft doing press. Blah, 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 blah. Shit. I mean, you just keep reading into this shit. You already know what's up. You know what I'm saying? It's good to hear. I mean, shit, ain't none of this shit good to hear, to be completely honest to you. But I'm glad she ain't a fucking stripper. Not that I have an issue with strippers, you know what I'm saying? But it just kind of taints his name and can taint Lala's name as well. I'm not really going to get into it like real too deep, but it's fucking sad. I was thinking about it. No matter who you think about that's had a reality show. Lala had a reality show on VH1 at one time. They get a fucking divorce, man. T.I. and Tiny, they getting a divorce. You know what I'm saying? Hulk Hogan and fucking his wife, they were married for 20 some odd years before they had that fucking show. Right afterwards, got a divorce. It's something about reality TV and egos and those faked ass script lines that they give you that you start living out in reality that kind of fucks up a relationship, it seems like. I just hate to see the fact that we don't have that many Okay, first and foremost, let me clarify what I'm saying. There are plenty of black couples. There are plenty of successful black couples. But in the eyes of our youth, what success is wrapped around entertainment. So your sports athletes, your actors, your singers, and your rappers. That's who they seem to think of as relevant, who they seem to think of as successful. That's not personally what I think. I'm talking about the youth. So for us not to have another black couple that was successful in the eyes of the youth, we're talking about an actress, and Lala, she's also was a radio host. She also at one time hosted TRL on MTV. We're talking about Carmelo Anthony, a legend when it comes to college basketball, great in the NBA. Then he goes to New York, the biggest market for basketball, damn near almost any sport. You know what I mean? So they're a power couple. And for them to not be together anymore can tarnish in the minds of our youth that getting married getting married or being in a relationship, especially with one of the same race, isn't as important as what it really is. So it's sad to see that shit. I really don't like it, but it is what it is. What we can learn from it is if you become important enough where they ask to give you a fucking reality show, think 5 times about that shit before you do it, because I ain't seen one positive one turn out yet. On to the next story. This shit right here is fucking crazy, right? So here's the headline. NYPD sergeant sentenced for getting women to have NYPD sergeant sentenced for getting women to sexually exploit minors. This shit wild. So here go the article. A former NYPD sergeant was sentenced to 28 years in prison for harboring child pornography and ordering a hand-picked group of women he had recruited on dating sites to sexually exploit children for his entertainment. Alberto Randizzo strangely thanked the court for going through the 9-month-long process, stating that he had been experiencing a progression of darkness that he wouldn't wish on anyone over the course of time he facilitated the heinous crimes. He told Judge Pamela Chin that had it not been for this capture and convention, he would have almost certainly found himself confronted with thoughts of suicide over what he was doing. Motherfucker, kill yourself. I don't care. Die. Judge Chin actually pardoned Randizzo from having to serve a federally mandated 80 years for the offenses he was nailed for, but in speaking to the fate that often befalls child predators in prisons, especially with Randizzo being a cop, Randizzo, however the fuck you spell his fucked up name, except anybody else that has that name, but to this dude, fuck you. So let me go back to that. But in speaking to the fate that often befalls child predators in prison, reportedly reminded him that these will not be easy years. Randizzo pled guilty for conspiring with five women who had been filming the acts. During the trial, he detailed having watched the abuse via Skype and on various occasions met up at hotels to watch the action live. The victims ranged in age, with the oldest being 8 and the youngest yet to have reached a year old. This sick motherfucker. Randizzo commanded that the abuse between the years of 2010 and 2013. One prosecutor called him the worst child abuser to ever pass through the Brooklyn court. I've chopped and screwed this fucking article, but basically this fucking sergeant, this police officer motherfucker, got with some chicks, had them pick up young girls, right, from the ages of a year, not yet a year, all the way up to 8, and sexually molest them, rape them, for his pleasure while he would watch either live in person at a fucking hotel or via Skype, okay? That shit is sick as fuck. Like, you know what I'm saying? That shit is fucked up that a motherfucker would be that sick, right? But here's what makes this shit multiply by 10. How this system, the judicial system that they say works for us, shows you how fucked up it is. He goes in there whining, talking about something he wanted to kill himself, and the judge said, "Oh, it'll be okay. Instead of giving you the 80 mandatory years that you should get, I'm gonna pardon you and give you 28 years that you have to do because you were a cop. And since you were a cop in jail, it'll be fucked up for you. People might fuck you up. So the fuck what?" You know what I'm saying? Go to show you how You know what I'm saying? The NYPD and motherfucking just the state of motherfucking New York is really fucked up when it comes to righteousness amongst the people. There's some bullshit. Now, they don't talk about if the children, what races the children was, and to be completely honest, it doesn't matter. Anybody that's willing to do something like that, the kids should die automatically. You know what I'm saying? There's some shit that like there's a lot of people that go to jail for things that that we can't, without a shadow of doubt, prove that they did. But there's just some things, man, where in my own personal POV, I feel like there ain't no coming back from. Ain't no rehabilitation for a motherfucker that fuck with kids. Fuck you. You know what I'm saying? I know that they say hurt people, so you might have been fucked up and somebody might have hurt you, but if you so fucked up that a motherfucker that you decide to fuck up other babies, fuck you, die. You know what I'm saying? Kill your motherfucking self, and if you don't, somebody else need to put 2 to the motherfucking head anyway. That's sickening, man. And it was even another part of it, the craziness is this motherfucker was in a position of power. That's what that shit, like for me personally, that's why I don't give a fuck what your title is. A motherfucking title. I'm a cop. Oh, you get mad respect. Oh, the title, I'm a doctor. You get mad respect. Oh, the title, I'm a preacher. I'm a pastor. I'm a minister. Oh, you get mad respect from that. I'm a teacher. Oh, you get mad respect. Those things are titles. If you ain't fucking righteous, I don't give a fuck what title you got. There's some dirty motherfuckers out here doing all them shits I just named, and I don't fuck with it at all. You know what I'm saying? I respect you on your character, who you are as a person, how you treat the next man, what are you doing in your community. You know what I'm saying? Are you walking a lifestyle that's of righteousness? Are you living and each and every day want to be on a higher frequency? You know what I'm saying? Not saying that you're perfect. We all have pitfalls, right? But goddamn, if you waking up the next morning and say, I'm trying to be better than what I was doing, and you actively doing something to do that, I can fuck with you. But I don't give a fuck if you a crackhead, right? You know what I'm saying? And that's the type of person that's your mind frame. You know what I'm saying? But I don't give a fuck if you got a motherfucking title to your name. Fuck you. That shit crazy. All right, so we're going to go on to this next one. This shit's crazy too. But after a second, I got some nice uplifting articles and some current events that we're going to go over. Excuse me, but so the headline is, a Florida state attorney threatened with a noose amid GOP backlash. An investigation has opened up into letters received by Florida State Attorney Aramis Ayala last month that referred to her with usage of the N-word while threatening her in words and symbolism throughout the inclusion of a small noose along with the message. Many might recall Ayala having made headlines when, on a prior separate occasion, she became the recipient of menacing letters that bore similar connotations to race. Ayala had become the target of intense backlash from citizens and Republican politicians in the state over her refusal to pursue the death penalty in the sentencing of a murder suspect, Markeith Lloyd, in March. Her decision would ultimately get her taken off of the case by Florida Governor Rick Scott, whom she would respond to by filing a pair of lawsuits. But perhaps more appalling was the chilling reaction from local officials and professionals, including a Seminole County clerk who went public on Facebook to state that Ayala ought to be tarred and feathered if not hung from a tree. On March 20, Ayala, who is actually the first black American elected state attorney in Florida, then received the letter that has become the focus of the investigation announced this week. In quote from the letter, quote, "Sooner or later, a nigger will be a nigger," the letter asserts. Including in the envelope was a business card that read, quote, and I quote, "You are an honorary member of SPONGE," end quote. On one side, and, end quote, "Society for the Prevention of Niggers Getting Everything," end quote, on the other. When chief investigators for Ayala's office, Eric Edwards, was sent the envelope on March 28th, he was alarmed to find an index card with a noose made of green twine taped to it. She believes that the hanging noose was meant as a threat to her as a public official. She also believes that the envelope received on March 20, 20th, 2017 was a racial message and could be determined to be a hate crime, the Orange County Sheriff's Office has said in a statement on the matter. I mean, shit. Excuse me, this is the world we live in, unfortunately, where as people of color get into power, people that think people of color shouldn't have power gonna do some fucked up shit like this, sending out letters and shit like that. It's sad, but it's also the climate that we live in. You know, up until a few months ago, for 8 years, we had a black president. And I truly believe that it is, in my conclusion, that black people and people of color became stagnant because there was a black president. Like, oh, shit's better. You know what I'm saying? Forgetting that he was probably the most disrespected president amongst all presidents of all time. But, you know, you having conversations, you're like, shit, well, you know, y'all have a black president. Y'all are moving forward. Only to see this shit. This shit was been going on. This ain't nothing new. This article I just read ain't nothing new. But we just got stagnant and thinking that we in a better place when really, I could really argue the fact that we might be in a worse place than what we were prior to segregation. I definitely could argue that and probably win that argument. Not even probably. I know I could win the argument. There's too many facts. We'll get into that shit throughout the year of this podcast, and I'm not going to get into it right now. But it's safe to say, on my behalf, it's to my conclusion that Black America is at a worse off stance today, 2017, than what we were unified, right? This is all of us. I ain't talking about you specifically. You doing good. You done moved to the suburbs. You and your family. You done went to an HBCU. You got a good job at a Fortune 500 company. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about collectively, right? Black America is doing worse today in 2017 than what we did in the 60s, straight up. But I just wanted to share that article just to remind you, shit's wild out here. All right, one more fucked up situation, but something that you just need to pay close attention to. You turn on the news and they say that the economy is good. Everything's great, right? The Dow is at all-time highs and shit like that. But when you really break it down, again, like I was talking about earlier, breaking down and critically analyzing the scenario, the shit don't make no sense of what they're saying. All right. According to the Swiss bank's calculations, on a unit basis, approximately 2,880 store closings were announced year to date. More than twice as many closing as the 1,153 announced during the same period last year. Historically, roughly 60% of store closures announcements occur in the first 5 months of the year. The year-to-year date announcements, the Swiss-based calculations estimates that there could be more than 8,600 store closings this year, which will be higher than the historical 2008 peak of approximately 6,200 store closings. All right, which suggests that for brick and mortar stores, the current transition period is far worse than the depth of the credit crisis depression. Did you hear what I just said? I'm saying that they telling you on the TV everything's fucking great. The stock market's good. Your 401k numbers, if you logged in and looked at your 401k numbers from your job, they high. You getting a nice annual percentage. Well, if everything is going well, why the fuck is there, at this point, 2,800, almost 2,900 store closings of brick and mortar stores? Right? Don't make no goddamn sense. If the economy is so good, that means people would be spending money. People would be spending money at stores, right? I'm going to name some of these stores once I find. Okay, people would be spending the money at these stores, right? They wouldn't be closing so many. I do understand store closures. I mean, it's just math. As a business owner, if you own multiple locations, the ones that are underperforming, you're going to have to close those. I get it, but goddamn, Radio Shack, and I'll give you this one. Radio Shack is closing like has announced they're going to close. They're going to close or have already closed 550 stores. That one makes sense because of places like Walmart.com and Amazon, you can just get that shit a whole lot cheaper. I don't remember the last time I've personally been in a Radio Shack. You know what I'm saying? You go in there, the prices are way too high. You can get the same shit online for a fraction of the price. So I get that one. I'll give them that one. Payless, though, closing 400 stores, that shit don't make no sense to me. You know what I'm saying? Payless is a store that is in every major mall, every major strip mall. There's a Payless. So the traffic is supposed to be there because you're in a mall. You're going to close 400 stores? Don't make no sense. Rule 21, again, another store that is in every major mall, every major strip mall. That demographic is for younger people. I'm going to say probably, I don't know exactly, but my guess is 25 and under. You know, like preteen to like 25. They're closing 400 stores or have already closed 400 stores this year. 250 stores at the Limited. Family Christian, 240 stores. Wet Seal, 170. JCPenney, 140, BCBG, 120, American Apparel, 110, Kmart, 100, Staples, 70, CVS, 70, Macy's, 65, Abercrombie & Fitch, 60, Guess, 60, Sears, 41, Gender Mountain, I don't even know what the fuck that is, 30. Anyway, I mean, goddamn. That's a lot of goddamn stores for everything to be doing well. That don't make no fucking sense. I'm also going to tell you, look at housing prices. And not your brand new housing neighborhood subdivisions. Brand new subdivisions, they still selling on a regular. But in the subdivision I live in now, on my way home, nice middle class subdivision, on my way home, in the route I take, two or three streets to get to my home, there's 7 homes for sale. 5 of them have been sold. I've been available all this year, at least 8 months. The 2 of them are foreclosures that are owned by the bank that they barely taking care of the properties. We'll get into that on another day. I overstand the situation with that, but just pay attention to these numbers of store closing. If everything was going well, as they said, all these stores wouldn't be closing. You're starting to look at gas prices to go up. They'll say because it's summertime, which it does go up every spring and summer because of the holidays or whatnot. But just pay attention to that. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you're doing more saving than you are spending, if possible, like on frivolous things or whatnot. I just wanted to drop that info. Now here goes some good news. Kendrick Lamar breaks record for first week streaming sales with 610,000. He dropped the album last Friday. Damn. It entered the record books having broken Drake's first week streaming record of 510,000. Interestingly enough, Lamar's album is made of over 60% in sales, with only 40% coming from streams. So, damn, 40, that's nice. 20% of it, you know what I'm saying, is from him, is actually sales. That's dope. I listened to the album. I fucks with it tough. I am a fan of Kendrick Lamar. I've been a fan of Kendrick Lamar for a couple of years. I like the fact that he isn't necessarily going with the grain of what the new hip hop is. I mean, he ain't talking about he's talking about real life situations that he's been through and that he's seen and he's experienced. But he ain't on this whole pop pills, get drunk, get fucked up all the time. This dope fiend culture that we in today. But if you haven't listened to the album, I suggest you pick it up and just give it a try. But that's good news to hear that breaking records out here. And last but not least, Chance the Rapper, Jordan Peele, Donald Glover among Time's most influential people. I don't read the Times, but it's nice to see our pretty black melanated faces in that motherfucker. Time magazine Thursday revealed that their annual 100 most influential people in the world, a list of artists, leaders, activists, and entrepreneurs making an impact on the world. Among this year's group are Chance the Rapper, Jordan Peele, and Donald Glover. Versatility seems to be the unifying theme of this year's influencers. Jordan Peele veered away from his sketch comedy of Key and Peele and made the directorial film debut with a dynamic racial satire of Get Out. Great fucking film. Donald Glover in 2016 won a pair of Golden Globes for his FX series Atlanta, which he created and starred in, and then dropped his third studio album, Awaken My Love. Love the fucking album. That shit is soulful as a motherfucker. And his fucking series Atlanta is dope too. Love that shit. Was tuning in each week. And Chance the Rapper snatched the Grammy Award for the Best Rap rap album for coloring book, and in the meantime managed to revitalize support for Chicago public schools with a $1 million donation to city after-school programs. Just a small side note there. He did that shit because he had a meeting with the motherfucking mayor or the governor, one of the two, of Illinois. The mayor of Chicago or the governor of Illinois. I'm pretty sure it was the governor of Illinois. After getting his Grammy, the mayor kept throwing it off, and the reason why he was wanting to meet with the mayor was like, what can I do to help garner some money for the public school system, the after-school program? Mayor just kept throwing it off, so finally he said, fuck it. He did a press conference that you can find on YouTube. I'm sure if you just put in Chance the Rapper, $1 million donation, he talks about Embrace It Down. Like, we ain't waiting on nobody to do shit for us. We're gonna do it ourselves. So I think that's fucking dope and admirable. Leslie Jones, Viola Davis, John Legend, Alicia Keys, Colin Kaepernick were also among Time's 2017 most influential list. That's dope. You know what I'm saying? It's just funny. We put you on the list for being one of the most influential, Colin Kaepernick, but you still can't get a fucking job right now. Ain't that some fucking shit? The world we live in. You know what I'm saying? But that's good news. You know what I'm saying? To have our people showing that obviously they're doing something for the culture. You know what I'm saying? All those people that we just named, I mean, all that shit is culture. You know what I'm saying? Viola Davis, the shit she do is for the culture. You know what I'm saying? The movies that she was in, Fences. Donald Glover, his show Atlanta. I mean, that shit is nothing. I mean, that's Atlanta culture. You know what I'm saying? If you don't have to live in Atlanta to know that that's the culture in Atlanta. That's dope. You know what I'm saying? Jordan Peele doing the movie Get Out. I mean, that was for the culture. What it's like when we out here only want to mess with the snow bunnies. You know what I'm saying? So that is what it is. Last but not least, for this opening episode, we give you a little. Each episode we're gonna do an independent artist that's for the culture, right? You know what I'm saying? It can be rap, hip hop, soul. Most of these people will be independent. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just asking that you check them out. You know what I'm saying? This week, the song title will be Black Excellent by Mr. Melly. He goes, if you just put in Mr. Melly on YouTube, you'll see a lot of his videos that he has. Fuck with it. Enjoy it. Until next week, peace, love, and wisdom. I'm out.
Now pay attention, the music ain't dead and needing new arrivals. 90% be claiming God but never use the Bible. And Jesus was a black man, don't be too surprised. What kind of person gets lacerated and crucified? Old dogs get euthanized, steady rocking the suit and tie. When I pull up in the game, I ain't waiting. This ain't no Uber ride, I'm deadly with my craft. The competition I be zooming by. Left them all hanging the same way that Judas died. A young king, since I came up, I made my circle smaller. I graduated from them dip blunts and purple water. Speaking of water, we forgetting Flint, Michigan. The government like, here we go with this again. Let's keep it Afrocentric, educate y'all on y'all history. The things that disregarded our kings and queens for centuries. We all sprung from Egypt, but Kemet is what they used to call it. My third eye has awakened, it's producing all this. Some hieroglyphics and pyramids are called an Ankh. We migrated to Africa and it got us Trump. Grab them by the pussy, sold us into slavery. That type of torture enraged the DNA in me. The top of the Ankh is also known as the womb. And also back in ancient times, the Ankh was used as a tool. And can't forget about the arm, that's the arms of the Ankh. And the hand who presents the body, believe in Christ if you want. They infected me with this craft, now I'm flexing these skills. To raise the bars on what y'all hear, cause complexity kills. I gave y'all 44 bars, but y'all ain't feeling me still. See, the arm is how they measure electricity bills. It's also used for meditation, I'm just vibrating the energy. A clever way just to shine on my enemies. I can do this shit for hours, nigga. I'm trying to give them black power, nigga. Please don't ignore this, I'm just speaking importance. I was also a pill popper and a young alcoholic. I almost had my life ended in the middle of August in the summer of 2010. Man, them heavens was calling, but them angels was looking out. I started over, had a different mission. While in the story of a king with so much vision in them. My Facebook popping now, people showing interest in them. They see the power and they hoping it's an extension with them. young Nas. Apparently I'm illmatic when the sun rise. I elevated the craft and shipping tight cents. I need tickets to the Hamilton with Mike Pence, with a rainbow flag and the aborted fetus. Just some shit I had to name to provoke a demon. What kind of homophobic person did y'all let in office? Fuck a filter, cause the realists never use precaution. I can't forget about the people out in North Dakota. Peaceful protests, but we had a lot of injured soldiers. Just keep it going, this fight ain't over.